191 Collabs, presented by Pinnacle Financial Partners, brings Grizz Nation hyper-local Grizz gear from Memphis designers. The next drop is the top-notch collection from proud Memphian Brandon Hobbs and his clothing brand M-Town Merch. The homage to Memphis culture, classic sportswear, and elevated street style is only available at the Grizzlies Den on Friday, November 7th when the Grizzlies host the Dallas Mavericks. Get your tickets today at grizzlies.com/tickets or visit the FedEx Forum box office.
Now that's the new edition way.
I feel like there's another level we can take it to.
What you think, Mike?
2 steps ahead of you, Slick.
What's good, bro?
What you doing, man?
I'm in.
Woman, you don't even know what I'm getting ready to ask you.
Here's the vision. All 3 of us on the same stage every night.
Gonna be crazy.
No barriers, no separation.
It'll be like 9 kings and a queen.
The next level starts now.
Calling all collectors! Topps NBA basketball trading cards are back.
It's available in the Grizzlies Den by Fanatics and online at Topps.com.
Rip into bold color parallels, electric inserts, relics, and autographed cards from today's biggest stars and the next-gen talent. Look out for rookie cards of Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper, plus Grizzlies favorites John Morant, Jalen Wells, and so many more. You don't want to miss this drop. Grab your set before it's gone.
Jeff Dunham, Artificial Intelligence, his all-new tour.
You're the other white meat.
Edey, how can you be so smart on one hand and so stupid on the other? Well, you're half of it.
I realize I could have avoided all this years ago with one simple word. I do not. Silence!
Don't miss a Memphis. Friday, April 10th, FedEx Forum. Tickets on sale Monday, September 29th at jeffdunham.com.
Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedEx Forum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
All right, I'm here. My name is Gary Parrish. I'm speaking to you from the Built Ford Tough studio. We're in FedEx Forum, downtown Memphis. Bennett Doyle right there producing the program. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're getting through the day best you can. And I hope, man, I'm just hoping. Just generally.
Yeah.
Just generally. I'm just hoping a lot. I just find myself hoping a lot lately. We'll talk about it momentarily. First up, quickly, let me set today's schedule for you. The next segment, about 20 minutes, Michael Wallace is going to join me. He, of course, is a senior editor, Grind City Media. He was inside FedEx Forum last night for the Grizzlies' latest losses, 4 in a row. It was a defeat at the hands of Kevin Durant and the Houston Rockets. Michael Wallace will join me. He'll be here in the next segment. Finish talking to him, take a break, come back, do 5 more things you need to know, at which point we'll discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories. Among them, Penny Hardaway spoke about his team just 3 days before the start of the season yesterday. Met with the local media. It did not sound good. I'll share the quotes with you. We'll do it in about 40 minutes. Hall of Fame coach Rick Pitino was on national radio this morning and had some interesting thoughts about coaching in this era of basketball. He discussed NIL and the impact, or the impact it doesn't make on the player's actual approach to the game. And then he said something about how he criticizes players, holds them accountable in the year 2025, and noted that it is vastly different than the way he says he used to do it. And I think on some level it relates back to some of the stuff we've been talking about here in Memphis over the past week. So I'll walk you through all of that. We'll do it a little later on in the show. Tyron Stokes, he's the top-ranked prospect basketball in the class of 2026. He has withdrawn from his high school. Back when I was growing up, they'd call it drop it out. But all indications are he's going to find another high school. But this is obviously weird. It is November. Buddy, if he actually becomes, this young man, because he's immensely talented, if he actually becomes what his talents suggest he should become as a basketball player, just trust me, it will not be because he's had proper guidance or handled things well. I've heard some college coaches believe it would be a mistake to bring him into your program. And again, this young man is widely regarded as the most talented high school player in the country. I'll tell you more about his situation. We'll do it in just a bit. A media outlet in Baton Rouge has obtained an email former LSU football coach Brian Kelly sent to school officials suggesting that he's open to negotiating the terms of his $54 million buyout. Why would he do that? We'll discuss some theories in the third segment. And a funny headline in the New York Post this morning, it reads this way: Mark Sanchez's Fox future in doubt after Drew Brees hire. I think a more accurate depiction would be Mark Sanchez's Fox future in doubt after he allegedly attacked a truck driver in downtown Indianapolis. It's a wild situation still. Get you updated on that during a segment we call 5 More Things You Need to Know. Then we'll eventually do GP's Carryout, and we'll call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a lot to get to. But I did want to start with your Memphis Grizzlies because Game 9 of a scheduled 82 was played last night inside FedEx Forum. As you likely know, it did not go the way we would have preferred. The final score was Rockets 124, Grizzlies 109. If you were wishing for an upset that would snap a 3-game losing streak, your wish has been denied. The Grizz barely led at all, never by more than 2 points. They trailed by as many as 21, lost the game by 15. So the Grizz are now on a 4-game losing streak, 3-6 on the season, with a game against Nico Harrison's Goofy Mavericks set for tomorrow night inside FedEx Forum. Tip for that one, 7 o'clock. It's an NBA Cup game.
Oh, no.
And our first chance to see the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft. That's Cooper Flagg in person. Sure, it's fun. Tickets are available, Grizzlies.com. Big Bet Bennett, good morning.
Good morning.
Your beard looks nice this morning.
Thank you.
It's nice to see you.
It's nice to be seen.
Give me your big takeaway from what was the Grizzlies' 4th straight loss last night.
The biggest takeaway is just the slow starts continue, man. They got down 14-5 early, and the crowd was immediately dead. I think that's been like the biggest problem for these home games is the crowd has been immediately taken out of it in all of them.
That is a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem. I mean, you
do all the time hear basketball coaches and football coaches about road games talking about we've got to keep the crowd out of it.
Yeah.
And this starting lineup that the Grizzlies keep throwing out there, buddy, they are the best at keeping the crowd out of it.
Yeah, and so, I mean, again, like what do we know about like the Ja and Jaren era of the Grizzlies? Like they feed off that stuff. I mean, we've seen so many moments with those guys, specifically Ja, just, getting fired up and screaming after a big play, and we just haven't seen any of that this year. And it's because they're starting all these games in a hole. I mean, that has to change. It's got to be figured out because it can't keep going this way. It just can't, or maybe it can. I don't know.
Lots of stuff to get through, to talk through. But let's start with where you started. I let you take the floor. This is where you started. Let's start here. Once again, surprise, surprise, the Grizzlies got off to a rough start. John Morant, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Jalen Wells, Jaren Jackson, Jock Landau started again. They played the first 3 minutes and 57 seconds of the game. And before a single sub was made, the Grizz were down 9 points. They were down 14-5. And then they lost the game by 15 points. So follow me here. The Grizz were down 9 points 4 minutes into the game, which means in the opening 4 minutes of the game, the starting lineup that's been bad all season was down 9 points. And for the other 44 minutes of the game, the Grizzlies actually played the Rockets competitively to what would have been a final score of 110-104. Still a loss, sure. But all I'm trying to illustrate here is that the Grizzlies, broadly speaking, played the Rockets competitively over the final 44 minutes last night, but it still resulted in a 15-point loss in a game that never felt competitive because they were down 9 before most people even got comfortable in their seats. That's a trend.
Yes.
And it's a problem.
Yep.
It's a trend and it's a problem. A, because of what it does to the team. B, because of what it does to the crowd. It makes what you're hoping would be a competitive game feel like an uphill climb from the very jump because it is. Imagine if you were a baseball team and every game you're down 2-0 going into the second. It just feels like, again, 2-0. You're down. Now we're fighting uphill again just to get even. Imagine you're a football team and every game you're down 7-0 after the other team's opening possession. Every game you're down 7-0. It just feels like, again, is this the biggest problem facing the team? No, of course not. There are lots of problems facing the team. But it is an obvious problem with an obvious fix. Do you have a sensible theory for why the staff hasn't addressed this obvious problem and fixed it in the most obvious of ways by either pulling KCP or Jalen Wells from the starting lineup and replacing that player with Cedric Calvert? Thomas Cecil was asked about it yesterday, and he explained it in the way that he explains things. And I'm always hesitant to argue with basketball coaches, particularly professional ones who have been successful, because if this isn't always clear, let me make sure you know. I don't know as much about basketball as Thomas Cecil. I don't know as much about his basketball team as Thomas Cecil. If we sat down and had basketball conversations, he's better at it than I am. All right? If we had a basketball team to coach, I'd want him to coach it rather than me. All right? But you don't have to be Tim Legler to make just basic observations. And one basic observation is that the starting lineup you're trotting out there is not working, and it is putting you in a hole basically every game, most recently last night, and it makes what otherwise could be competitive games feel uncompetitive for the final 44 minutes. It never felt like the Grizzlies were winning that game. Never. Not for a second.
No, it felt like, because the Rockets were so good at just like controlling the tempo of that game, that a 10-point deficit felt like 25.
Yeah.
The whole, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just felt like it was going to be so impossible to claw back.
But here's the thing. I don't even care about a 10-point deficit feeling like 25 or feeling like anything. You know what I care about? The 9-point deficit before you make a sub.
Yep.
I don't care what it feels like. It's just you're down 9, you're looking up, and you were never in a position to really threaten again. That's a real problem. Watch the PGA Tour. You see a golfer, triple bogey, number 1. He feels like he's just fighting to get back to a decent place the rest of the round. When you go down, in some cases 6, in some cases 8, in some cases 12. Last night it was 9. Before you're even making a substitution, you have just changed the dynamics of the entire game. I just told you that for the final 44 minutes of that game last night, the Grizzlies played the Rockets to within 6 points. It never felt like that because they were down 9 before they started playing. KCP in the starting lineup, 1 of 8 from the field last night in 24 minutes. Jalen Wells could only get off 3 shots in the game. Here's another way to make the same point. Because I still hear people, I can barely turn on anything without hearing somebody say some version of this. Well, it doesn't really matter who starts as much as it matters who finishes, as much as it matters the number of minutes somebody plays. I know people say that because they've heard other people say that, but I really do think that's what it is. People say it all the time because it's an easy thing to say to make you sound like you know what you're talking about, and you've heard other smart people say it, so it's just like a thing that people say to each other. It doesn't matter who starts. Yeah, I heard it doesn't matter who starts. I was watching TV the other day, and somebody said it doesn't matter who starts. I couldn't disagree more. Of course it matters who starts. And if you want to argue with me, let me try to put it to you this way. Here's a question. Bennett, I'll let you answer.
Okay.
If the NBA grabbed the phone, dialed the Grizzlies, and said, hey, listen, guys, would you be willing, in the spirit of like speeding things up, getting people home a little earlier, would you be willing to just start every game down 9 points with 8 minutes left in the first quarter? Can we just start it there? You're down 9 with 8 minutes left in the first quarter.
I'm going to pass.
Obviously, you would not agree to that. Nobody would agree to that. And if we can all agree that nobody would agree to that, then let's stop trying to tell me that it doesn't really matter who starts when consistently the people that the Grizzlies are starting have them down early more often than they definitely should be. Moving on. Ja Morant struggled from the field again last night, but I do want to give credit where credit is due. I think it's only fair if I'm going to come in here Monday and say the way he handled his postgame on Friday was unacceptable. And then I'm going to come in here on Tuesday and say the way he handled his postgame on Monday was embarrassing. I should say that I think the way he handled his postgame last night was professional. I thought he was good. He stood there. He listened to the questions. He answered them thoughtfully. He took responsibility for what he needs to bring to the table. When asked about Jaren's struggles and lack of production on the offensive end, he had an explanation for that. Like, this isn't just about somebody not being aggressive. There's nowhere to play. there's not a lot of space on the court right now. And I thought Ja was good. Obviously, the game, he had his struggles. But I thought in the postgame, he stood there and that's the way the face of the franchise is supposed to handle these situations. You're on a 4-game losing streak. Things are not going well for you or your team. But it's your job, part of your job, your responsibility to stand there and address it and own it and insist that your only goal is trying to get it better. And he did all of those things last night. I thought that was good for him. I'm not trying to give him an Academy Award for his performance, but, if I'm going to criticize him for Friday and Monday, I should compliment him for last night. You concerned about the Jaren Jackson stuff?
Yes. He took one shot in the first half. He had 0 points in the first half. He finished with 6 total shots in the game. You can't win. Mm-mm. Like, you cannot win with that happening.
Well, this is the other problem is that I think the main reason the Grizzlies are struggling, like actually the main reason, is because you're down 4 important rotation pieces. Mm-hmm. That is what I believe.
Yeah.
But the hope would be Ja and Jaren are so good in the absence of these other pieces that you'll still be able to keep your head above water. Because, everybody loves this one. Ja and Jaren, they don't play a lot together, unfortunately. But when they do, the Grizzlies win 60% of the games. And, that's a fact. It's just a true thing. Mm-hmm. Is it a true thing now?
Not so far.
What we trusted in the offseason and throughout the preseason was that, hey, Zach Edey, this is not good. Brandon Clark, this is not good. Ty Jerome, what the? Brandon. But as long as we get Ja and Jaren, we're fine. And they've played 8 games together so far this season. And the Grizzlies are 3-5 in those games. They used to win 60% of their games when Ja and Jaren play together, regardless of the other stuff. Right now, in this season, they're losing 60% of the games Ja and Jaren play together, regardless of the other stuff. In fairness, obviously, the other stuff was better once upon a time than it is right now. Mm-hmm. But what we have learned, at least so far in this particular season, or at least what has been illustrated so far in this particular season, is that just having Ja and Jaren is not enough. It's just not, particularly when neither of them are playing well right now. And that's not piling on. It's just,
no,
we can talk about this openly. They both know it. Neither one of them is playing well right now. There might be explanations for why, rationalizations, completely understandable reasons, but right now, neither is playing well. The rest of the roster is banged up, and that's how you end up getting off to a 3-6 start to the season.
And it's why it's hard for me to accept the notion that they are what they are. This is just the team that they are, and they're not very good. I cannot accept that because I have seen so much success with those two guys on this team over the years. You've seen some down too, but we've seen a lot of success over these past 7-8 years with these two guys. It's just hard for me to believe that they're a lottery team with them as their two focal points. It feels like it is something that they should be able to figure out.
And I believe that they will, or at least clearly it'll be better when instead of playing Jock Landale and I say all this respectfully. I don't even want to name names because it sounds like...
Yeah, I know. I got you. When your projected starter to start the
season.
When
Zach Edey is a part of your rotation as opposed to other people. When Ty Jerome is a part of your rotation as opposed to other people. When Brandon Clark is a part of your rotation as opposed to other people. When Scottie Pippen Jr. is a part of your rotation as opposed to other people, then this will get better. Will it be good enough? Will too much damage be done before we even get to that place? It's all open for discussion. But it will get better, and the primary reason we're going through all this right now is because the roster is not equipped to win high-level basketball games right now. I mean, they were even with Ja and Jaren both expected to play, a pretty big underdog at home last night, which is not a normal thing for good teams in the NBA if you're still wanting this to be a good team. The roster is depleted. Everything's hard right now. But Ja and Jaren not being good has made it even harder. And all of this stuff is connected. One of the reasons Ja and Jaren don't have space to play in is because the rest of the roster is not good enough. As currently constructed, taking into account the health of some key players. We've been trying to stagger their minutes, to make sure you got one of them on the court to make at all times. But staggering the minutes keeps them apart. And then guess what's more difficult for both of them? trying to find space. Josh should theoretically be able to find more space with Jaren on the court with them. Same thing. But we're trying to keep them apart in some cases to stagger minutes. And again, that makes everything difficult. It's hard right now.
Yeah.
But things do need to get figured out. And I'll get to Mike Wallace next. But another thing that was a trend, or at least an obvious thing to pick up on last night, the energy just wasn't there.
No.
They were not out there, all right, we're shorthanded, but we'll outwork these guys. No, you got outworked by a more talented team.
Yeah.
You got outworked by a more talented team. There was a sequence in the fourth quarter where there's a loose ball after a missed shot, a missed Grizzlies shot. And it's just there. It's just there. There's the ball. And you can go find it. But it's a 50-50 ball that the Rockets grabbed. It looked like it was anybody's ball, but the Rockets, they were the ones that went and got it. And they're out in transition, bang home a three. Short time later, KCP misses a dunk. We're back on the other end. Three.
I real quick on that dunk, I can't fault him for that because like he was struggling to make a shot in that game and he was trying his best to get like people fired up and bring some energy. I mean, he tried as hard as he could to spike that thing and he just hit the back of the rim. Like that was unfortunate.
I have no opinion about the quality of the dunk attempt. Right. I'm just pointing out that it missed.
Yes, it did.
And then you're off the other way and it's another three. And in between those two things, Jaren, I think, made a free throw. But it was, you took an 11-point game that is still like, there's a difference between an 11-point game and a 16-point game.
Yes.
And you turned an 11-point game into a 16-point game in a span of 37 seconds because you didn't fight for a loose ball and because you couldn't convert a dunk. And then you couldn't get back in transition to prevent the transition three that came with it, right? It's the little things like that, man. Yeah. You ain't talented enough right now to just go out and beat people. You know who is? Oklahoma City. They don't have to bring it every night. They just go out and beat you. You know, there's a handful of teams like that. This is not one of those teams. You cannot afford to let 50-50 balls, and I don't mean to sound like I'm talking about 8-year-olds, right? It's professional basketball, but like this stuff matters, and that was a key moment in the game, a key moment in the fourth quarter. 50-50 ball, go get it. They got it. 3. Transition dunk opportunity. Miss it. 3. 11-point game that, like, let's just say the dunk goes down. Now we're, I mean, all this stuff, it changes the way the rest of the thing unfolds. But 2 bad things happen on this end. 2 good things happen for them on this end. That 11-point game goes to 16 and wasn't technically over then, but certainly felt like it.
Yeah.
Michael Wallace up next.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Watching the Grizzlies is easy with FanDuel Sports Network. If you have cable or satellite, you're all set. Find us on your channel lineup. You can also use your TV provider login to watch games on the FanDuel Sports Network app. No cable or satellite? Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network online. You can also watch on Prime Video by adding a FanDuel Sports Network subscription. Not sure where to start? Visit FanDuelSportsNetwork.com to learn more.
The only thing better than Saturday Night Hoops is when it comes with an exclusive Grizz hoodie. Every Saturday this season, $60 gets you a Grizzlies ticket and a limited edition Grizzlies hoodie. 4 different hoodie designs dropping across 4 Saturday games. Not sold anywhere else. Don't miss your shot to collect all 4 designs. Grab your tickets and gear up now at grizzlies.com/Saturday.
We are so excited to be joined in studio now by Memphis Hustle head coach Rob Sannicola. How excited are you for this to all get started?
Super excited. It's something that I think I've done for 20 plus years. So excited about that and just helping our group kind of progress and It's been fun to watch.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans. Want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Welcome back. Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. We're inside the Built Ford Tough studio, and on Thursdays, I'm joined by Michael Wallace, senior editor, Grind City Media. He was inside FedEx Forum last night. He's here right now. Michael Wallace is GP. I wish we had better stuff to talk about, but we're currently on a 4-game losing streak after a 15-point defeat last night to the Rockets. Just get started with your big takeaway from what you watched last night.
Man, it feels like Groundhog Day. You know what I mean? It feels like, we're watching the same thing happen over and over and over again. And, whether it's the first half where the Grizzlies are starting slow and then get going in the second half, or whether it's the first half where they're starting great as they did against the Lakers and then fading down the stretch. There seems to be something bringing every single game that's different from what happened the game before. And, it's they got to figure out a way. They got to figure out a way, because right now, even if you do improve, and I thought that there were some areas in that game that they made improvements against Houston last night, that the schedule just won't allow you to get the result to sort of give you the confidence that you're doing better. So it's just tough right now, man. This is some tough sledding for the Grizzlies during this stretch. And, we'll see if at some point this thing has to break the right way for you, and it's got to happen Friday, or it gets even tougher after that.
I do believe, even as somebody who has spent more minutes on it than perhaps I should have, I do believe that the whole start Cedric Coward thing is probably outsized at this point in terms of relative to its actual importance. But the reason it's outsized is because it's such an obvious and easy thing for people to recognize. You have this amazing thing that is better than we anticipated, and seemingly every time he enters the game, he gives you a jolt. Meantime, you're starting every game, or at least most games, really poorly and falling behind before your jolt of energy even walks onto the court. Again, I don't want to spend 40 minutes on this every single day, but do you have a theory for why the coaching staff has been hesitant to do what, at this point, it seems like everybody else in the world would like to see them do?
I think part of it is because the coaching staff doesn't want to, I guess, admit or buy into the desperation that the fan base feels. Like they believe in this system. They've spent an entire offseason developing this system and figuring out this is what we need to do. And you don't just abandon that, less than 10 games into a season. I get that, because, again, everything that was said about Isolo last season when he took over in late March was that he really didn't get a chance to implement. So, and we saw what we saw last year. He's had a whole offseason and, a preseason, a training camp, and everything to implement. But those were sort of undermined because he didn't have Jaren for the, a stretch of the training camp. He didn't have Ja for the preseason, and he doesn't have Zach Edey now. And those were the three most important players on this roster. But to your point about Cedric Coward, at some point, minor adjustments within games, whether you say, okay, we had a bad first half, let me start him in the third quarter and just mix it up. Like, you can make little incremental changes within the game and not have to, basically blow your whole philosophy up, right? Like, you can make incremental, adjustments in the game to say, hold up, this is the fourth timeout that we've had, or fourth break in action that we've had in the first half. And let me get the stat sheet, because I get it at every timeout. Oh, Jaren only has one field goal attempt in the entire first half. Okay, next three possessions, we're going to Jaren, clear out. Like, forget what I'm putting in installation-wise. Clear out, let's get Jaren going, because I can't, number one, have this happen. But number two, I can't have him thinking that I'm not seeing this and I can't address this. So there are certain ways that you got to make adjustments, and this staff has to continue to work at that. And I went long-winded on it. I didn't go 40 minutes like you read. But I do see it. I do see it, and it's got to be some things that need to be addressed.
I want to get back to Jaren in just a second. I want to ask you one more question about this, because Bennett made a good point earlier. It's not just that when you start games poorly, you're down 9 points or 12 points or 7 points after 4 minutes or whatever. It's that you can really zap whatever energy otherwise would be in the building. You can zap it from the court. You can zap it from the building. Talk to me about that specifically. You've been in NBA arenas for decades. When a team gets off to a good start, the building feels and looks a certain way. And when a team is consistently getting off to a rough start, it gets really quiet, and it can actually have a negative impact on what's happening on the court. I do think this stuff is important. How important do you believe it is?
It's essential. It's essential. And the reason why it's essential is because of this. And, there's enough sort of responsibility. I won't say blame. I'm going to say responsibility to go around, because what I'm noticing is that when the team comes out of the tunnel and walks onto the court, I mean, it's very, very sparse in there, and that has to be a shot to your ego a little bit when you're walking out on the floor for the first time for your warm-ups, and you're seeing only a handful of fans out there. That's not a way to get you, energized and hyped from that standpoint. So I think it's on the fan base to look, man. You have tickets, you bought tickets, or continue to buy tickets. This team needs you to show up and support in real time and real life. Sit in the seats, get there early, and help this team, right? But I also think it's on the team too, because they're the ones getting paid to be there, right? Like, they're the ones getting paid to train, and they're getting paid to be prepared. They're getting paid to come out there and play better. You're executing through through practices, shoot-arounds, team meetings, film sessions, and all of those things to come out with better starts. And if you can't do that, then there's a disconnect somewhere. So the onus is on everything, from that standpoint. And these guys got to take it personal that what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Does the performance come first and then the fans support you? Or does the support come first and then you respond to that with the energy you need to pay it forward? So it's an all hands on deck type opportunity right now for the Grizzlies to fix this thing.
Let's get back to Jaren Jackson Jr. As you noted, he only took 6 shots last night, only had 1 field goal attempt in the first half. On the season now, through 9 games, he is averaging 11.7 field goal attempts per contest. After last season, that number was 16.4. Mike, he's playing basically the same amount of minutes, but he's taking roughly 5 fewer shots per game. I thought Ja was good talking about this last night. He was like, some of this is just like there's nowhere to play. And this is a roster construction or a roster availability problem. But when you watch Jaren out there, how much of it is the roster circumstances have made his job more difficult relative to, hey, you've got to be better?
I go to the latter, and I'm old school. You know what I mean? I've been around, like you said, I've been around the league for a long time, and I've seen star players who are at this point in their career do things a little bit differently, right? Like Shaq would have broken half of anything that was in the locker room if he would have went into the locker room at halftime with only 1 field goal attempt. Right. He would have broken somebody's nose. He would have broken every backboard. Like, he would have broken every chalkboard. Coaches would have been cussed out. It would have been some furniture moved in the locker room had that happened to just about anybody. Dwight Howard, Shaquille O'Neal. I'm trying to go through the list of great players and really Anthony Davis earlier in his career. All of these guys felt like, okay, look, you all know who the best players on this team is. You all know who we have to play through. And if Ja's not taking shots, I'm the next person that gets in line when it comes to that. Jaren doesn't have that kind of personality, but it's time that he has it now, because if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? Right. So I'm not saying it's all on Isolo to say, hey, draw up a play for this guy. It's got to be on Jaren to say, listen, man, I'm going to dictate the next 3 possessions one way or another. And yes, he blocked some shots. He did some defensive things, but you cannot settle for, that you haven't taken but 1 shot, right? Like, that. So you go up to Ja and you say, Ja, give me the ball, bro. Give me the ball. Like, I need the ball right here, right now on this time. And this is what we're going to do. And I'd rather ask for forgiveness from Isolo in the timeout than permission, because I'm the one that's going to be blamed for what goes on this court more so than anybody. So I need to see a little bit more of that. And I think he has it in him, but he's just got to show it, man. It's got to come out at this point. You're paid to be this guy. You have to go out and be this guy. You have the talent to be this guy. Let's go be this guy before this season slips away.
I've heard some point out that he is shooting a career high 52.4% from the field. And so, that should not be ignored. But the problem is not the field goal percentage. The problem is the field goal attempts. I know it's different sports, apples and oranges, but take me back to Peyton Manning in his prime. If you ever told me, hey, GP, Peyton Manning, I don't know what you're talking about. He's completing 84% of his passes. I'd say, yeah, but he's only throwing 7 passes a game. That ain't good enough. I don't care what percentage. I bring the percentage down of completions. I need more attempts. We can't play with Peyton Manning throwing 7 passes, even if he completes all 7 of them. And different sport, different thing. Yeah. I don't care about it's not that I don't care. I'm not as interested in 52.4% from the field or whatever his true shooting percentage is. I'm focused on the 11.7 attempts when you are arguably the most important player on the roster, certainly in the top 2. You can't be taking 11.7 shots per game in 28.8 minutes, period.
Part of that. And so when you dive deeper into the numbers and into the reasons, right? Sometimes you can force your way into, I'm not saying Jaren needs to force up 30 shots, right? Just to be forcing them up. I'm saying he needs to assert himself, whether it's personality, whether it's field goal attempts, whether it's touches. I'm not saying he's got to touch it every time. I'm not saying he has to shoot it every time, but there's got to be touches involved where when double team comes, he's got to be able to shift it and get it to a guy that can knock down shots. That's where some of the problem is, because as long as you're staggering these guys, now granted, Ja and Jaren weren't great at the start of the game yesterday and when they were on the floor together. Them being on the floor together hasn't blown anybody out, right, in terms of that. But when you take that and then you stagger them after that, then you're putting basically one or the other on the floor with guys. Now, Cam Spencer came through, and he made shots for Ja when he was on the floor with them. But Jaren isn't having guys make shots for him when he's getting doubled and they're, loading up on him. So that's where it's a personnel problem. Ja alluded to it being a spacing issue and all of those kind of things. But when you're defensively struggling and you can't stop teams from scoring on you, they get to go back down and load up defensively because they're making shots. So you're not forcing them into transition defense and all of those kind of things. So that's another problem right there. So it's a comprehensive issue, but at the end of the day, you have 2 of what we all believe is the top 30 players in this league, and they have to live up to being able to produce at a certain level, and they got to get that right.
Last thing before I get you out of here, we got some encouraging news earlier in the week. Zach Edey went down. It was assigned to the hustle, practiced, and most have interpreted that as an indication that his return to the Grizzlies active roster is just around the corner. Do you have a sense for when we could see Zach Edey in a Grizzlies uniform back playing with John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr.?
Well, I got my latest mic check column dropping on Grind City Media. It's coming out the oven as I speak right now. So it's out of the oven and it's going through the production process, and it'll be in your inboxes. Make sure you sign up for the mic check newsletters. It's coming directly to you first if you sign up for the newsletter, and then it comes to the web and social after that as well. But yes, Zach Edey has gone through 2 Memphis Hustle practices. He's gone through a workout with the Grizzlies and 2 shoot-arounds with the Grizzlies. Now, here's the important thing you need to know. On September 26th, the Grizzlies released their medical update on Zach Edey and some other players. What it said about Zach Edey was that he will be returning to play. The return to play window was 6 to 9 weeks from September 26th. Well, where we are as of today, it's November 6th. Friday marks the 6-week point of that return to play, 6 to 9 weeks. So on the front end of it, that will be Friday's game. I'm not saying Zach Edey's going to play on Friday, but if the injury report comes out later this afternoon, projecting for Friday's availability, and he's doubtful or questionable, it wouldn't surprise me. Having said that, they may want to get him a game with the Hustle before he comes to the Grizzlies. The Hustle opened their season on Saturday. So they have a game Saturday, and then the Grizzlies go on the road Sunday again, where they play Friday here against the Mavericks, Sunday against Oklahoma City, and then they go on the road for a 4-game trip. So somewhere in that, barring a setback, somewhere in that range right there. We could see some updates on Zach Edey's availability. He's progressing forward. Everything sounds good from his workouts. His teammate says he's looking good. He's in the right mind space. Now it's just about loading and conditioning to get him back ready to get acclimated from that process.
That is the great Michael Wallace, Grind City Media. Make sure you follow him on X at MyMikeCheck, and make sure you are signed up with the news for the newsletter. You can do that at grindcitymedia.com. That's grindcitymedia.com. You're the best, buddy. I appreciate your time. I'll see you soon.
GP, it was all good just a week ago. Last week when I talked to you, I was poolside in Phoenix talking about Ja hitting the game winner and everything feeling great. What a difference a week makes, brother.
What a difference a week makes. I did like that shot. I like this one too, though. Great to see you, buddy. I'll see you soon.
All right, brother. Take care.
That's Michael Wallace, Grind City Media. It is wild. Think about where we were last week. There was a moment last week when Ja hit a game winner, and we were calling 12, and the franchise had a winning record. And we were just kind of bitching about Cedric Coward not starting. Just kind of. But it really wasn't a point of emphasis.
Yeah.
Now look at us. Now look at us.
Dare I say we're not even 10 games into the season? Dare I say it?
But we will.
No, nobody want to hear that. Nobody want to hear that.
I know, but I know, I hear you. But this is funny to me because Michael said it. You've just hinted at it, and this is a thing that people say. We're not even 10 games into the season. Relax. We're not even 10 games into the season. Well, we will be tomorrow.
We will be tomorrow.
So that's the number you picked out. You picked that number. Mike picked that number. So if your barrier for when we can start talking about things seriously is the 10-game mark, it'll be here tomorrow.
Well, and the thing is that Dallas team right now is bad.
Good. I hope they.
Well, if you lose tomorrow night and you look at the schedule ahead, dude, you're gonna have a lot of trouble finding a win over the next 2 weeks.
And you do get into that situation where, no, it's not time to panic. But you remember the Josh suspension year?
Yeah.
Remember everything?
I do remember that year.
Yeah, I do too. Everything we said going into that was, if they can just this until Ja comes back, then, and what we found out, it was by the time Ja got back, and he wasn't back for long, but by the time he got back, it felt too much damage had been done. And you don't want that to happen here. But all these games count. I understand you can say it's early, but eventually it won't be anymore. And your record's going to be what it is. And if 3-6 turns into 4-11, and then 4-11 turns into 6-16, well, then by the time you get your roster back, is the hole too deep to pull out of?
Mm-hmm.
I hope not, but it happens. It happens. It's happened here before, and let's hope it doesn't happen again.
I hope so. Let's just get a win tomorrow.
Just win tomorrow.
It's a cup game, though.
I know.
I actually hate that.
We never win them.
We just never win those.
We never win those.
Yeah, I think we've won one in the history of the franchise.
We were 1-8.
Yeah.
We are 1-8 all time in cup games.
I do not like that it's a cup game. I've tried. I have tried to be a cup apologist.
You've done your part.
I have fought for that cup.
I have sat here.
I want the cup. I want to hoist the cup.
I sit here every day and I watch you. I watch you try to care about the cup.
I'd give anything for that cup.
I've noticed you caring about the cup. I've picked up on that. I know you've done your part.
And a win tomorrow night gets us in the cup race for the first time ever.
We've never been in a cup race.
We're in it. We're in the race. We win tomorrow night. We're in the race.
I wouldn't mind being in a cup race. I wouldn't mind spending the rest of the month in a cup race.
Things could change. Things could change tomorrow night. Things could change tomorrow night. They're also giving away some cool hats tomorrow night, too. So there's that as well.
Everybody likes cool hats.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm trying.
I know you. I appreciate the effort.
Need a win tomorrow.
I think that goes without saying.
Need a win tomorrow.
I think that goes without saying. When we come back, if you want to feel better, probably won't. Because Penny Hardaway talked about his basketball team yesterday.
Oh, my God. Jesus.
And it sounds like he hates his basketball team more than most Grizzlies fans.
I don't know if he hates his team.
He doesn't like it.
I saw the quotes.
All right, how about this? I'm not going to speak for Penny Hardaway.
Okay.
I'm not going to speak for Penny Hardaway. I'll just read you his quotes, and you tell me after that whether he likes his team or not or feels good heading into this season. Also, I think this is interesting. Rick Pitino was on national radio this morning talking about a number of things, including the way he talks to players in the year 2025, the way he criticizes players in the year 2025, and noted that he does it differently than he used to because he feels like you have to because players are different today. I thought this was notable because it is quite literally, I mean, it's college basketball compared to the NBA, but it is on some level quite literally what we've been talking about over the past week. After reportedly Tomas Isolo, the first-year Grizzlies head coach, called out Ja Morant in the locker room Friday while the Grizzlies were losing to the Lakers. Tomas Isolo's philosophy is you can be direct, you can do it in front of the team, and yes, some feelings might get hurt, but eventually the player will come back around and you'll be a better team for it. That has been his experience, and he seems to subscribe to that. What was interesting about this is here's another basketball coach, Rick Pitino, who has worked in the NBA and in college, and what he said this morning on radio is like the exact opposite. It doesn't mean Rick's right, Tomas is wrong, or Tomas is right and Rick is wrong. I just think it's interesting that we've got two basketball coaches more or less discussing the exact same situation and insisting that their way is the right way and the other way is not the right way. I'll give you Rick's quotes. We'll do it during 5 More Things. It's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
The Grizzlies are the one thing everyone in the family can agree on. So join us every Sunday this season for Sunday Family Fun Days. It's a steal at just $35 and includes a ticket to the game, a $10 food voucher, post-game free throws on the court, and a meet and greet with mascot Grizz. Space is limited, so grab your tickets now for this unique experience your family won't soon forget. Go to grizzlies.com/Sunday and have a fun day.
Check this out. Last season in the NBA, there were 139 40-point games. We're like 5 days in, 6 days in, and we have had 16 already. It is on pace for over 300 40-point games.
Holy crap.
Sheesh. That would be the pace.
Yeah.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Nate Bargatze.
Look, I say a lot of dumb stuff. I try to keep it in front of large groups. Seems to go better that way.
Big Dumb Eyes World Tour.
When you say something dumb one-on-one, it's a lot for that person. I'll say it, then I can just feel that they feel the weight of my life on their shoulders.
Tickets and info at NateBargatze.com. Don't miss the Big Dumb Eyes World Tour. Nate Bargatze.
Orthopedic injuries can be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled, and Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either. And that's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays, in the evenings, and even on Saturdays. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in. And Ortho South take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's orthosouth at orthosouth.org. Now, I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
Memphis basketball coach Penny Hardaway met with the local media yesterday to discuss the season that is on the verge of getting started with the game against San Francisco. And Bennett Doyle, I don't know if you read his comments or heard his comments, but they're not encouraging. What'd you make of what Penny said?
I did not feel encouraged as well. Like I will say, like, you know, Penny is very straightforward in his press conferences. Like that's how he's always been. So, you know, he's always going to keep it. He's always going to keep it real in his.
He's
press
always going to keep it a buck.
Yes,
I think that's what they say.
I believe that's what the children say these days.
Penny's always going to keep it a buck.
Yes. But he said that, you know, he was nervous. All right. What was the exact quote?
There's a lot of them that you know are worth
concerned, I believe was the word.
He certainly used that word. I'll just read you a few of the quotes from yesterday, courtesy of Roman Clary, of course. Penny said, "We haven't competed at a high level outside of the first 10 minutes of the game, so there are some concerns about what's going on with this new group. The problem right now," he continued, "is the guys that are giving me the energy that I want don't have the amount of talent that the other guys have that aren't giving me the energy. We got to get that to where everybody's exerting the same amount of energy at a very high level." Translation, I've got some guys on my roster who are really bringing it every day, but they ain't good enough. I need the guys who are talented enough to actually allow us to succeed against this non-league schedule. I need those guys to bring the energy, to be more focused, to be more enthusiastic, and they're not doing it right now. This, of course, comes after they got blown out in back-to-back exhibitions against, nationally ranked SEC schools, but not SEC schools that are expected to, you know, win the SEC. So it'd be one thing if we hadn't seen anything bad and then Penny expressed concern and we're like, well, you know, sometimes coaches are just like that. Mick Cronin's like that. You talk to Mick Cronin, he always hates his team. He's always like, I don't know how we're going to win a game.
Right.
Like I talked to him a few weeks ago at Big Ten Media Day, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it was like, and we got a problem here and over here. I mean, I don't know what we're going to do about that. It's just like, GP, I'm telling you, man, it's a work in progress. This team's ranked 10th in the country. You know, like he's got a preseason All-American at point guard. Like the team's fine, but he is always.
It's like a motivational tactic.
Or he just wired that way to always think it's raining when it's not actually, right?
Gotcha.
So different coaches have different perspectives on things, but with Mick, you can always say, or at least sometimes say, you got a top 10 team, you'll be fine. But with Penny, the team that he's concerned about is not a top 10 team with an All-American point guard. It's a team that is, yes, projected to win the American for now, mostly because the American's terrible, but it's a team that is low in the computers, that is completely new, and we've watched them play for 80 minutes so far this season in exhibitions, and for about 70 of those 80 minutes, they were completely overwhelmed and looked bad.
And I hope people understand, obviously we've talked a lot about the non-conference schedule and how tough it is. It's not easy right off the bat. Like this San Francisco team that's coming in here, dude, they bring back 3 starters from last year's team. They or borderline NCAA tournament team. I mean, they finished in 3rd behind Gonzaga and St. Mary's in their league, who were both ranked last year. They beat St. Mary's once last year. You know, Memphis went there last year. This is a return game, and they won, I think, 68-64. And they just blasted some team 98-53. The UC Santa Cruz Banana Slugs. They just blasted
famous, of course, from John Travolta's shirt in Pulp Fiction.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yes. I was like, where have I seen the Banana Slugs before? How about that?
Vincent Vega.
So, like, this is not a bad team coming in here. No. This is a good team, probably.
To drill down on your point, San Francisco is 86th at KenPom. KenPom right now has a projected final score on Saturday inside FedEx Forum of Memphis 82, San Francisco 74. But I won't be surprised if the point spread is tighter than that. And this is a team that's capable of beating you. You should win the game. Let's be clear.
That's right.
You should win the game, but they can beat you. After that, you go to Ole Miss. I'll just keep it simple. If you can't compete with Arkansas at home or can't compete with Auburn in what is technically a neutral, but I get it, Atlanta's close to Auburn, then is it reasonable to expect you to go down to Ole Miss and compete inside of a sold-out arena?
And you said you have them in your top 25-1 now, right?
I've got them at 26.
Okay.
They're 22nd
So
at
they're
KenPom.
the and 1, okay.
Yeah, but they're 22nd at KenPom. You will be a notable underdog in that game, and it'll be a surprise if you win it. So if you don't win this first one, like you're talking about, you're probably 0-2 with Josh Pastner coming into FedEx Forum. UNLV's not good, lost their season opener. You should be able to handle that.
Right.
You should. But then you get Purdue. Good luck. I mean,
it's the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah. With multiple All-Americans, and they're ranked number 1 in the country. So this thing could get away from you pretty quickly. Not predicting it. I'm just explaining how it could get away from you very quickly, and you don't want to hear 3 days in advance of the start of the season the coach having these types of public concerns, the players holding players-only meetings to try to, quote, nip stuff in the bud. What are we nipping stuff in the bud for? Why can't we just...
We hadn't even started.
Yeah, we ain't even started. We already trying to nip stuff? It's just...
And I love that.
It's not... Let's wait to freak out until we have the results that cause it.
Yeah, we haven't even started.
Let's wait to freak out until we have the results that require it. But clearly, Penny doesn't like what he's seeing, and none of us should like what we're hearing.
Number 2.
Interesting comments from Rick Pitino this morning, the St. John's Hall of Fame coach. He went on with Boomer and Gio and was talking about a number of different things. And there's 2 points I want to highlight here. One that I think is just a testimony about the state of college basketball, and the other something I believe we can circle back here to our own NBA franchise.
All right.
Rick Pitino was on with them this morning, and at one point, Gio said something along the lines of, hey, Rick, I saw in the season opener, your players, there was a ceremony for last year winning the outright Big East regular season title at St. John's for the first time since 1985, since St. John's went to the 85 Final Four and was joined there, of course, by the Memphis State Tigers, led by Keith Lee. Villanova and Georgetown, the other teams there. So they got their rings in the season opener, and Gio said to Rick, I was a little surprised to see, they looked like they were excited. They looked like they really, liked the idea of getting a championship ring. His implication being, I thought or assumed or wondered that, once these guys are all making real money, you got a bunch of millionaires out there at St. John's, their payroll is about $10 million. Even Rick, acknowledges that. We spent about $10 million on our basketball team. So Gio's point was, I just figured once you got a bunch of millionaires out there, they don't really care about the basketball championship stuff as much as you would think. And Rick was just like, that's not true. It's never been true. And I don't know why people think that. He said, if you came to my practice and you watched us work, yeah, I've got millionaires in there and I'm coaching them. And it would look just like a practice I ran at Louisville on some level, just like a practice I ran at Kentucky on some level. The guys still work because competitors are competitors, regardless of how much money they have in their bank account. And I don't know why people struggle with the idea that college players could still be competitors, even with money, because our entire sports ecosystem is filled with that. Victor Wembanyama has a lot of money.
That's right.
Yeah. He still wants to win everything. And Tiger Woods had more money than he knows what to do with. Every time he's on a golf course, he wants to murder you. So the idea that a 21-year-old basketball player would no longer care
lose
about
interest.
Yeah, it's just, I do believe money can make some people complacent, right? There's the sports world's filled with those. You get that big contract, and rather than get up and go to the gym on a Sunday morning in June, I'm gonna hit the golf course instead. All right, those stories exist. But broadly speaking, the real competitors, the guys who are wired a certain way, they want to kill you. Whether they're playing for $5, $5 million, $5 billion, whether they're playing in a sold-out arena or in a practice court at UCLA. Real competitors want to kill you, and the money doesn't change that. Rick made that point. Here's another point he made, and I thought this was super interesting given what we've been talking about over the past week. He said that he still coaches, Rick does, because he was asked about the difference coaching players today as opposed to coaching players, say, when he first got into this or even 10, 15, 20 years ago. And he said, quote, I don't coach the players today the same way I did at Louisville or Kentucky because the players are different. Listen to this. He said, now I can get on them. I can still coach them and criticize them and hold them accountable. But, and this is the part, I have to do it collectively. I cannot get on them individually. Not be in front of the team because they get embarrassed very easily. It's not that they're not tough. They just get embarrassed. So when I was at Louisville or Kentucky, if I needed to get on my best player, I would do that in the locker room in front of everybody. But I don't do that anymore because I have noticed it doesn't work because players today get embarrassed if you shine a light on them in front of the room. And I have found it is more beneficial to pull them to the side. I can show them all the tape. We can talk about it. I can hold them accountable. But I have found as I've gotten older and as a new generation of players have come through, what I have found as Rick Pitino, this is what he said, is that calling out players in front of the team is not beneficial. I still hold players accountable, but I do it individually and privately. What do you make of that?
Interesting. I can understand why you're relating it to our situation.
Because, and listen, I'm not even here to say who's right or who's wrong. I'm just saying, and I've said this throughout the week, reasonable minds can disagree on how to handle things. But the idea that there is one way to do it and it always works and that's the way, that's just not true. And this is a point that Thomas Isolo has made in previous interviews, predating the incident from last Friday night, where he has said, I have found in my own coaching career that when somebody isn't doing what they're supposed to do, regardless of who it is, you can hold them accountable in the locker room in front of everybody else. And yeah, they might get mad, but eventually they'll come back around and you'll be a better team for it. And here is Rick Pitino saying, respectfully, I disagree with that. So who's right? Here's the truth. I think it depends on the player.
Yeah.
I think it depends on who you're talking to. But the idea that you can approach every situation with this strict way of doing things and it will result in what you're trying to get it to result in, I've always been skeptical of that. It doesn't mean I don't think players should be held accountable or even in front of their teammates. I'm just saying you have to understand that it can be delicate. And I just thought it was interesting that Rick Pitino was on national radio this morning.
Yeah.
Not talking about anything that's going on here at all, but just acknowledging publicly one of the things I do not do anymore. I used to do it. I don't do it anymore. Is I don't call out my players in front of their teammates because I have found that they embarrass too easily and it ends up being a net negative instead of a net positive. You can Google all Rick Pitino's quotes. It was a good interview. Boomer and Gio this morning.
Number 3.
Tyron Stokes is the number 1 high school prospect in the class of 2026, and he created headlines yesterday by withdrawing from his high school. Bennett, it's November. I know it's been a while since you were in high school, but do you ever remember somebody just withdrawing from high school in November when you were over at White Station kicking it?
I don't. Well, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But not like a star basketball player.
This is the type of thing basketball players do. Like they just bounce around and withdraw and enroll, and you never know where anybody's going. But I bring this up not because you care about him or because he's going to be a Tiger, but because he has no idea, or the people around him have no idea, how badly they are damaging everything connected to him. He's supposed to be the next great one, right? You have Cooper Flagg, and then you got a class of Darren Peterson and A.J. DeBonsa and Cameron Boozer, Koa Pete, and now right behind him, this is the next one.
Okay.
Tyron Stokes. Would you believe I have had a high major coach of a, let's call it, national championship winning program? And that coach told me this summer, because I asked him about Stokes. I said, are you involved there? Nah. Why not? Because you seem like the type of coach with the type of program that would typically recruit the number 1 player in the country. Coach said to me, GP, I'm telling you the truth. If that kid or his agent or anybody called me and said, it's his dream to play for you at this school and he'll do it for free, I would not take him. He will mess up everything.
Why?
he's just volatile.
Mm.
I mean, you hear stories about him cussing out his coaches at Peach Jam.
Okay, yeah.
You start reading about what led to him withdrawing from school. Reportedly, he's had multiple altercations with fellow students at the school recently. Hasn't been at school all week. Randomly just decided to play football in the middle of the season. And they're like, what are you doing? Like, you're a basketball player. Like, you're Cooper Flagg. You're Darren Peterson. Why are you just deciding to play football? He's like, well, I just wanted to be a kid for the last time. It's just a lot of weird stuff and unusual decision-making that is connected to him. And his reputation, at least, I don't know him. I've been around him. I don't know him. But his reputation in basketball circles is terrible teammate, impossible to coach, and perhaps not worth the trouble. He's still being recruited by some of the big boys. Kansas, Kentucky, Oregon. He seems like he's perfect for Kansas because Bill has taken, knucklehead guys before and been able to get it to work. But, this is an immensely talented young man who, for whatever reason, can't keep it between the lines. And this is the type of thing where, as the mock drafts start to update, and you see him at one point projected to be the number one pick in the 2027 NBA draft, and then you see him slip to 4, and then you see him slip to 7, and you're like, what is going on here? It's all this stuff. He is on track to cost himself millions of dollars just by not knowing how to be a teammate or be a productive member of a basketball team. We'll see where he lands
Good
next.
luck.
He's got to find a new high school.
Number 4.
Sports Illustrated had a story about a local media outlet down in Louisiana through a Freedom of Information Request Act, obtaining an email from Brian Kelly, the former LSU coach, where he is acknowledging in writing that he is willing to sit down and negotiate the $54 million buyout that he is owed after being terminated in the middle of this season. And so a lot of people were wondering, why would you, you have a contract, the buyout's $54 million.
And you got fired.
They fired you. Why are you negotiating? Just give me my $54 million. And so you dig into it a little bit, and a lot of it's just the terminology in the contract. First and foremost, maybe not first and foremost, but among the things that should be noted, there's a morality clause in the contract.
Okay.
And that's a pretty vague thing, but it's one of those deals where you better hope you didn't do anything wrong away from the field, because we could maybe try to hit you with a morality clause and void this contract. So have you ever sent an inappropriate text? Have you ever sent an inappropriate email?
I see where you're going.
You never got a drink with that recruiting assistant, did you? Who happened to be female? There's all I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying these are the things you got to think about, because if they want to start digging, all they got to do is find the one thing that they think can trigger that morality clause, and boom, your contract's voided. So these are all things swirling. Beyond that, it's $54 million, but it's paid out over the length of the contract.
That's what I was going to say. It's more along the lines of, let's just knock this out now for less.
How about just give me 45 right now, lump sum payment, and we'll call it a day?
Yeah.
Or I don't even know what the numbers would be. I'd let Jimmy Sexton handle that, or somebody like him. But it could just be, give me a lump sum now instead of making me pay this. Right now, I have an offset clause in my contract that says I have to try to get another job, and if I do, whatever I make at my other job, you don't have to pay me that amount of money. Why don't we get rid of all that language? Just give me $35 million lump sum. Let's get rid of all that language, and let's divorce right here, and we never have to talk again. So it's just a negotiation.
Yeah,
how do you want this money? How much of it are you going to get? When are you going to get it? Brian Kelly, LSU, and the lawyers, they've got some work to do.
Number 5.
Wild headline in the New York Post today. Did you see this?
I don't know. They have a lot of them.
They do have a lot of them. That is a good place to find wild headlines. It's about Mark Sanchez, the former quarterback turned NFL analyst who, got into a little trouble in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah. So anyway, here's the headline. The headline is, Mark Sanchez's Fox future in doubt after Drew Brees hire. That's the headline. Drew Brees has been hired as Fox analyst, and people are suspecting that it will be to replace Mark Sanchez long term. That's the headline. Mark Sanchez's Fox future in doubt after Drew Brees hire. Alternative headline. Mark Sanchez's Fox future in doubt after he allegedly stabbed a truck driver in downtown Indianapolis. What do you think that's got more to do with it?
I would think that would have something to do with this.
I think the Drew Brees
Drew Brees also Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Better quarterback and stabs less frequently.
I don't think he stabbed anyone. I can't say
far
for
as
certain,
we know.
but I'm pretty sure.
Far as we know.
I'm pretty sure he has.
Better quarterback and stabs less frequently.
Correct.
Point Drew Brees.
Yes.
Mark Sanchez is Fox future in doubt after Drew Brees hired. No, that's Fox just trying to fix the problem. Mark Sanchez's Fox future was in doubt the second he allegedly stabbed a truck driver in Indianapolis. Still the craziest story.
It is still the craziest story. It kind of went away. Just the news cycle, comes and goes. But we're going to go to trial and stuff, right? Like, this is going to be a thing. I would assume the driver's, suing him for...
suing him, suing Fox, suing everybody.
Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff to work out. But it kind of reminds me, as I was reading the headline, it reminded me of this funny Norm Macdonald, Jerry Seinfeld clip where they're, riding around in the car. Jerry Seinfeld did this thing. He rides comedians in cars, right?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay, so they're talking. Norm Macdonald. They're talking about Bill Cosby, and Norm Macdonald's like, Jerry, you think Bill's legacy is going to be affected? And Seinfeld's like, yes. and he goes, I was talking to another comedian. This is Norm talking. He always sets up the jokes perfect.
Hilarious.
He's like, I was talking to another comedian.
Rest in peace.
And rest in peace. And he said, the worst part about the Cosby thing is the hypocrisy. Just the hypocrisy. This guy's on TV presenting himself as the best husband and the best father. And then, you find out he's just a monster. It's just the hypocrisy. That's the worst part of it. Seinfeld's like, yeah. And Norm's like, I don't think the hypocrisy is the worst part of it, though. Seinfeld's like, no, you don't think the hypocrisy is the worst part? He's like, no. He's like, you know what I think the worst part is? Jerry's like, what? He's like, the raping. I think the raping was the worst part.
He's right.
Similarly, Mark Sanchez's Fox future in doubt after Drew Brees hire. I don't think that's the worst part.
I don't either.
You know what the worst part?
The stabbing.
The stabbing.
Yeah.
The stabbing's the worst part.
He got stabbed. Didn't he get stabbed?
Yes, he was in a fight.
Yeah.
And then he got stabbed because he was trying to beat up a truck driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were both going both ways.
So he didn't stab.
He didn't stab, but I promise you he would have if he could have.
Probably.
Yeah. He didn't come. He came to the knife fight with his fist.
That's right.
You don't want to come to a gunfight with a knife, and you don't want to come to a knife fight with your fist.
Man.
I'm going to say starting a fight with a truck driver allegedly and getting stabbed, that's the real problem with your Fox future. That's the real problem with your Fox future.
Good luck, man.
Good luck. GP's carry out next.
Calling all collectors! Topps NBA basketball trading cards are back. It's available in the Grizzlies Den by Fanatics and online at Topps.com. Rip into bold color parallels, electric inserts, relics, and autograph cards from today's biggest stars and the next-gen talent. Look out for rookie cards of Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper, plus Grizzlies favorites John Morant, Jalen Wells, and so many more. You don't want to miss this drop. Grab your set before it's gone.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans. Want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzlies stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
Southland Casino Hotel is helping you navigate to Santa. Win your share of over $550,000 in free play and a brand new Lincoln. Here Comes Santa takes flight on Saturday, November 1st, when you can begin earning entries. And don't forget the grand finale drawings on Saturday, November 29th and Saturday, December 27th to win a share of over $40,000 in free play or a brand new Lincoln. Win big during Here Comes Santa, only at Southland Casino Hotel.
Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. Let's wrap this up. GP's Carryout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we miss today?
Parthapadhyay, Daily Memphian, covers Penny Hardaway's Tigers, reported this morning that Sincere Parker, the transfer guard, was expected in court this morning. That has been rescheduled to January 9th, 2026.
Interesting.
So we now know we will begin this season with this legal cloud hanging over him. And we've talked about this before. I won't waste much time on it. In a different time, he would not be playing.
Right.
With these types of allegations, charges levied against him, most schools in a different time would say you're not allowed to represent us athletically until this issue is resolved. But so many of these cases have resulted in dropped charges or dismissed charges that I shouldn't just tell you athletic directors and athletic departments in general are less determined to automatically trigger a suspension just because you're charged, because you don't get this time back and the charges don't always result in a conviction. And at that point, you are on some level, in some people's eyes, punishing somebody who is supposed to be, quote, innocent until proven guilty.
Yep.
My understanding is that is the approach Memphis has taken with Sincere Parker. They're going to allow him to represent them. They're going to allow him to play until this case is resolved. If it's resolved positively, then he'll continue playing. If it's resolved negatively, then they got another conversation to have. But he will represent the Tigers, it appears, with a legal case hanging above him.
What's today's biggest game?
Prime Video, Thursday Night Football, Raiders and Broncos. We're doing it at Empower Field, Mile High, Denver, Colorado. Denver minus 8.5, total 42.5. How are you going to act after Creighton couldn't cover for you last night?
I mean, that was ridiculous.
They couldn't cover for you last night.
That was absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to go 8.5. My God, but the Raiders suck.
Raiders do suck.
I'll go Denver. I'll go Broncos.
Bennett said he's laying the 8.5 with Denver. 7:15 kick tonight on Prime Video.
What are we watching on TV?
I'm sorry, but I got to circle back to All's Fair on Hulu.
Oh, yeah. You were really hyping that up.
You said you were going to watch it.
And then people were like, it's got 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. I was like, huh? 0?
When I looked, it was 6.
Couldn't even get a 20?
When I looked, it was 6. It might be 0. It's bad.
Did you watch it?
No.
Okay.
I couldn't. But
you can't do it. When it's 0?
I mean, I watch Kim K do anything. You know?
Yeah.
And I have, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I've watched her do everything she could do. All right? And so I was like, it's Kim Kardashian. I'll watch it. I'll watch her do everything else. I'll watch her act. Sure. And then I started looking at the reviews and I was like, oh my God. Some people are calling it the worst show on television.
That makes me want to watch it.
I know. I'm not going to say
that. Actually makes me want to watch it.
You know what? I got a flight today. I might give it a shot. Anyway, I apologize for telling you to watch All's Fair. By most accounts, it's the worst thing on television right now. We'll find something new tomorrow.
What's the best thing we've read?
Chris Vanini does a coaching carousel notebook over at the Athletic that's filled just with good stuff. If you're a Florida fan or an LSU fan, Arkansas fan, wondering what's going to happen with your job, he's got good information in there. But he also, this funny story, he filed a Freedom of Information Act request at UCLA just to see if he could get anything connected to the coaching search. And he obtained an email that a gamer sent the UCLA athletic director applying for the job to be UCLA's football coach. He wrote, this person, to the athletic director, quote, I am confident that my digital dominance can translate directly to the Rose Bowl turf. My leadership style is simple. Go for 2 every time, run Hail Marys on first down, and always make sure my players look good in alternate uniforms. Please let me know when I can expect my headset, whistle, and university credit card for recruiting trips. Chris Vanini reached out to this gamer for additional comment and asked him, what do you think UCLA could be? He said, I'll tell you what UCLA is. On my PS5, a powerhouse under my leadership. He says, I built a powerhouse under my leadership with UCLA on the PS5. No reason I can't do it in the Big Ten. So far, he says he has not received a phone call.
Gotta try something, though, if you're UCLA.
It might be time to try something.
Yeah.
You gotta try something.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow will be Friday. I'm going to be in Annapolis, Maryland, United States Naval Academy. Always a special place to be.
Yes.
I'll be there for the Veterans Classic. But don't worry, or worry, depending on your perspective on all this stuff. I'm going to be here tomorrow. Not here, but I'll be hosting the show. Jessica Benson will join me. We'll get you ready for Friday Night Grizz and a fun college football weekend on tap. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll enjoy mine. Meet me back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Rep your hood.